The latest developments now on a deadly police-involved shooting in Pawtucket. We first brought it to you as breaking news last night on Eyewitness News at 6:30 on Fox Providence.
And Pawtucket Police just revealing Dominique Silva was killed after twice pointing a gun at Officer Julianne Borsari late yesterday afternoon.
Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado joins us live from Pawtucket now with the very latest.
Police say Silva pointed his gun at Officer Borsari twice. They're being tight-lipped about other details as the investigation continues. Late this afternoon, police released the identity of the man killed by a Pawtucket police officer, 24-year-old Dominique Silva from Pawtucket. His friends set up a memorial for him on Webster Street, where police say Silva was shot and killed by Officer Julianne Borsari, seen here in a Valley Breeze photo from an awards ceremony last year.
Officer Borsari was in uniform in a marked police vehicle when she approached Silva for investigative purposes.
Sergeant Paul Brandley says police were called to the scene to investigate a report of a crime, but wouldn't say what that was. He says Silva pointed his weapon at Borsari. She chased him.
He then pointed a weapon at her again, and she discharged her weapon.
We heard 5 gunshots.
Rosalina Limardo told us she saw the immediate aftermath.
A female officer was pointing the gun at a gentleman that was on the floor. There was a gun on the floor as well.
Sergeant Brandley would not answer questions about specifics, including how many gunshots.
I can't talk about the number of rounds fired, the natures of the injuries, or anything of that nature.
Silva's friends at the scene watched as detectives continued combing the area with a metal detector today. They weren't ready to talk on camera, but said Silva was known as Nani. And Pawtucket's public safety director says he personally swore Officer Borsari in several years ago. He says initial reports indicate her use of force was, quote, appropriate, but there is an investigation into that. Ahead, we'll get into that process. Coming up new at 6. Live in Pawtucket with the Blackstone Valley Mobile Newsroom, Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
We begin with new developments in a deadly police-involved shooting in Pawtucket. Within the past couple of hours, we've learned the name of both the suspect who was killed and the officer who shot him.
New at 6, we're learning more about the next step in the investigation into that shooting. Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado joins us now live with the Blackstone Valley Mobile Newsroom.
As with any officer-involved shooting, there is a state police investigation into the officer. In this case, police say she shot a crime suspect who pointed a gun at her. Friends of 24-year-old Dominique Silva mourned his loss at a small memorial on Webster Street, even as detectives continued combing the scene with a metal detector. Police say Officer Julianne Borsari shot and killed him Thursday after he pointed a gun at her.
There were 2 instances in which a weapon was pointed at Officer Borsari.
Sergeant Paul Brandley says Borsari responded to the scene after reports of a crime. He wouldn't say what. That's when he says Silva first pointed a firearm at Officer Borsari. Then she chased him on foot.
He then pointed a weapon at her again, and she discharged her weapon.
Silva was pronounced dead at Rhode Island Hospital. Rosalina Limardo says she heard 5 gunshots and saw the immediate aftermath.
A female officer was pointing the gun at a gentleman that was on the floor. There was a gun on the floor as well.
Police would not say how many shots were fired. Officer Borsari, seen here in a Valley Breeze photo from an awards ceremony last year, is a Marine honorably discharged, according to Public Safety Director Tony Pyrus. He personally swore her in to the Pawtucket PD. A video posted on Facebook immediately after the shooting circulated widely. It shows police officers giving medical aid to Silva after the shooting, with a female officer standing off to the side. Now, Pawtucket's public safety director says initial reports seem to show that Borsari's actions in use of force were appropriate. Mike and Shannon.
Now, Steph, what's next for that investigation into whether she did act appropriately in shooting him?
So that determination will be made by a grand jury. The Attorney General and state police are investigating. The AG will present evidence to the grand jury of Rhode Island residents, and they will make the determination if there's any criminal charges or if she should be cleared of all wrongdoing.
All right, Steph, thank you. Steph Machado reporting live in Pawtucket.